Hiya and welcome to the chat show. Today we'll be discussing the 60s, the 80s and the 2000s. My name's Rachel, I will be having an input as well.
My name's Bobbi and I specialise in the 1960s.
My name's Ebony and I specialise in 1980s.
My name's Abby, I specialise in 2000s.
Right, so, losing my voice as well, but we're going to start off with the 60s. So, the Wolfenden report that was brought out in October 1957, what do we think about that?
I think it's good for sport in terms of development because it starts to bring in things like the impact of social media when you're looking at written reports in terms of newspapers. People stop generalising, so they got sport-specific people to write sport-specific articles, so people are getting a more general idea of what had to be done to develop certain things.
I don't know if this, but anyway. We've got a definition. It conjured into being for the first time in British law the notion of the distinct homosexual personage. I can't speak to this.
There's a report offered a new framework for regulating morals that has been enormously influential. The report made a crucial distinction between private actions and public order. That's History 2007.
So, do you think that this Wolfenden report then is affecting welfare state and how does it impact on that, do you reckon?
In terms of welfare state, you've got a lot more funding going into your sport, so they start to look at things a bit more broadly, so include people with homosexuality, disabilities and things like that. And once you start to involve them, you start to get more funding in, the more benefits come into the sport as a whole, and you get, so it increases jobs and things like that. But the welfare state, it takes it away from people that don't need it, it's not necessarily there, to people that need it in terms of getting the development for sport that they need with facilities and things like that.
So really in the 60s in the Wolfenden report it is developing obviously sports and getting people more involved in it, but it is developing welfare state as well, but not
It's
to
doing both, yeah.
not to the
Not
highest
loads,
impact.
yeah. It's getting people involved,
Yeah.
but not massively. It's increasing a bit, but not overly much.
Well, yeah, I can agree with that. Well, I've got a bit of a timeline of government in power. So, like in October 1959 to 1964, the Conservatives obviously were in power then, and the turnout was about 78.7%. So, what do you think about that figure?
I think
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's not enough. It don't seem like it's big enough. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because after that it just decreases
That's
as
what I
well.
mean, like,
it goes down to
decreases,
77.1%.
So as years go on, it's decreased every time, and you won't think that. Like you'd think that it'd stay the same, or it'd get better.
what is the government that's changed that is going on now? So like,
Yeah. Well, it is. It's different as well. Like different governments. So 1964 to 66, it were Labour.
Yeah,
And it
because
were less percentage.
in the 60s as well, the Labour's main thing was sporting and physical activity for all ages, so they was actually in it for bringing people together and bringing people to try and getting them into sport.
Prime Minister Harold Wilson was for Labour 64 to 79, and he said that he was trying to get it more focused on sport, but it never thought it would be a front line for electoral issues, so they never thought it was going to be the distinction between whether they got into power or whether there wasn't. But once it started to get towards the 1970s, the back end of the 60s, they started to realise that sport was a bit more important towards people, and they wanted to focus more on that, getting in power, rather than just completely looking over the subject.
So do you think that like Labour was in fact helping welfare state as well? Just referring back to the welfare state point.
I think they were aiming to do it. Whether they were or not is a different thing.
Well,
They wanted to increase sport, but I don't know if they did.
you still don't think there's a massive impact in the
It
60s?
isn't. No, is it?
The
Up to
start.
now, they're still in.
No, the starting points are there. It's just
They've got
moving
plans,
forward.
but yeah, they've got the plans to do it, but they haven't done it.
Between 1930s and the late 1960s, there's the movement between sport development and welfare policy and the welfare state, it didn't mirror at all. There was no correlation to whether welfare state went up, so then sports development increased, and if sport development went down, then welfare state went down. There's no correlation as to
there's
what
no
happened. There's no evidence to back it up.
Well, yeah, and in late 1960s, there were a redefinition of peace, obviously it changed. So from beginning to later, it had changed, and there were marked transition of sport, physical activity from drill to recognised sport.
It's beginning in the 1960s, but Labour have only just got the foot in the door to get it up and running. So that's when they start to work on sport for all. Advisory Sports Council don't come in until the mid-1960s, so that they need to get that chance to get the foot in the door to get it all going.
That the Advisory Sports Council, actually, I feel like when they came in, they're the ones that started making the impact, because they were focusing on like coordination approach to increasing physical activity and getting people up and in there, which in turn may start having an impact on welfare state.
Yeah, they had plans to do it, but until they came in later.
We got videoed, yeah.
Ricky
were halfway through it.
Just carry on. Sorry. Right, so if just carry on that, just sorry about the interruption. Do you think as well, the Sports Council, because they were bringing people into it, do you think that will help in participation if they're helping people with physical activity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that then, if we want to move on to a bit later on, I've got a thing here that says that administration's extension of welfare principles did not extend to the sporting arena, we reach no sporting policy. So, what do you think about
that? Again, it's the early 1960s. It's up to 1964. Conservatives are still in power. The Conservatives didn't have the same view on sport as what Labour did. They didn't approve of sport or believe it had that much of an impact as what the late Labour did. Labour was for it once they brought in sports for all.
Really, there were no difference up until Labour came in power in 1964. So after that, that's when sport changed. Like up until then, there were Conservatives, like I said, different views.
Yeah, 60s might have been different if Labour had come into power.
Later 60s they were different because it was Labour, so they were two completely different parties, two different rules, like what they wanted to do.
5 years to pass a law is not long enough or to bring anything in for the end of the 60s.
It needs to develop.
So I think we're all agreed that the 60s, yes, it had an impact, but
not overly big.
But later on, so I reckon that we should just move on to
it's definitely a marker point for the start of it all, but it's not what completely developed the sport.
Yeah, so 1980s, basically the main focus in the 1980s was raising participation and getting people involved, mainly in black ethnic minority groups, hooligans and among youth. So we've got some key events here, so I'm going to start with 1980. So they brought in so much more sports centres, and this was due to the high demand in 1970. Why do you think that worked, that they brought so many more sports centres in?
Well, obviously a bigger participation, like more people wanting to. So from 1960s onwards, they've developed like wanting to get more people involved, and as it's gone over at 70s as well and to 80s, there's been a bigger, well not bigger influence, but more people wanting to get involved, so that they need more facilities because there's a bigger participation group wanting to get involved. And like I said, that the 80s were doing it for younger people or people that hooligans, people that don't, maybe they've had a bad upbringing or they've just gone the wrong way, that sport can get them back on track.
If you just look at the value for money back then though, if you're looking at like hooligan youth delinquents, because of the lack of money and the lack of the way the housing was back then, they're going to get into trouble, so it's getting people off the street. It's when they brought in it all goes back to the Advisory for Sports Council. They started in 65 and it's just developing through and through, and that's when you start building your sports centres.
Yeah, so I think this does just like link to welfare state, but at the same time, if they're building sports centres, is there going to be a cost? Because if people can't afford that cost to sports centres, then they're really going to go. So is it going to raise participation among the groups that it was aimed at?
Like round here, they've got like Metrodome. That's a facility what it's to get people like doing sport going in, or like if Vida, I think that's five-a-side, you have to pay for that. But if there's a big group here, like I think swimming's like £3 something.
Yeah.
But to us isn't much, but to others is. But they did that thing with my card, didn't like? If you had a my card, you'd do it for free.
Yeah.
That got more people doing it, massively more people doing it. But now it's changed to it costs. There's not as many people.
Yeah.
Because there's people that are more beneficial than others.
It goes back to value money, doesn't it? Back then value money were a lot more. So like now you think £3 is nothing, but back then £3 were a lot of money. So people go and pay. So they build all these sport facilities, but were they really coming to action?
£3 then went a lot further than it does now.
Yeah.
Right, so I think with that really we'll move on to Sport for All. So Sport for All obviously helped sports development, and it's helped it over the past 10 years, but they wanted more, they wanted to help it in the next 10 years, but they were identifying gaps like in inner cities and rural areas, and identified that there were lack of participation from women, middle-aged men, older men, poor, disabled. So basically, again, linking back to that welfare state point. So do you really think that Sport for All had that much of an impact on them and the focus groups that we talked about at the beginning?
They'd like to, they plan to, whether they do or not. I'd say they do a bit, yeah, because they're getting everybody, they want everybody to do it.
Yeah, because they aim to get 1.7 more men and 3.9 million more women playing sport.
And it says like from 70s to 80s, facilities improved. So they're going to have better facilities, more facilities for more people to go do it.
Build
so that,
them
yeah,
facilities,
yeah. Getting more people involved.
You're going to get more funding. They're going to look at the politics go on. They're going to have to spend the money in different places. And if they start targeting and people start questioning why they're not focusing on sport or like minor people, like women or disabilities or anything like that, they're not going to stay in power. So it's when they've got to try then to fund the money instead of spending it on other things, so the funding needs to go on sport.
Yeah, because I know they were just focusing on certain dropout groups, like here they said they were focusing on school dropouts as well, 13 to 24, and then the older age range. But was they focusing on it as a whole? So was they just the people that were already playing sport, were they helping them as well? Because
the gap you've got to look at between 24 and 45, if you go and start playing sport from being 30, you're not going to have the gap between, because they're going to carry it all straight through. I mean, personally, look at us as footballers, we've carried on straight through because we've started from a young age.
But that
you
gap,
combat that gap
people
from that.
having that gap, you don't know what they're doing, like.
Yeah,
it's the typical time for your families and you get
Yeah,
your career on
you
track.
get to 25, if you go to uni, you finish by 22, you get a job, you've got an house, so you might not be able to afford it, you've got a mortgage, you have a family, you have whatever.
Yeah.
When you're that age, you just tend to want to do your own thing, don't you?
So still keeping Sport for All into consideration, we'll go on to like the urban riots that affected quite a lot in the 1981. So the riots were in London, Birmingham, Leeds and Liverpool. And it happened because of poor housing, high rates of unemployment and racial tension. So it's all them target groups that we wanted to get participate in sport. Riots started because of the money that they had and their funding.
They don't know no different though. Like if they grew up around it, their parents that say like never been employed, never had sport near them, they don't know no different. They're just going to do the same thing. If they had facilities near them that did sport for free, for cheap, they're going to do it, that gets them out of the way, but they might not have it.
People that are doing sport, it relieves the tension, it relieves the anger. If they've not got the facilities and they can't fund it, but nobody's giving them help with schemes or anything, they're not going to get that outlet where they could go and have a kick about a football, or even if they need to go into gym and like doing anything like that, or boxing.
They might even go to school.
Yeah, so
but have you seen, I know it's a bit, but on Match It Day on Sunday, they always do a thing where they go to a place that gets youths in doing it. So, like, they get youths in for free to get an education and to play football. So that's doing sport and it's getting them in off it, and then they get to like it, which they can do in their spare time.
yeah, so just running quickly through this as well, we've got the policy of the next 10 years, we've got Action Sport Programme and Sports Council, which all helped raise the participation within the 1980s. Like they all chipped in together. There was giving money to help promote networking in sports development. There were targeting specific target groups and building on sports development as a whole. And then as we get towards the late 1980s, we've got that Thatcher's government showed no interest in sport, so that was kind of a turning point as well, because you've got all these things helping the 1980s and then you've got suddenly
you come to a standstill because nobody wants to take part anymore. You focus on more on making cuts rather than building the benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you look like late 1980s, so 1988, sports community, it goes into 1990 as well, but there were 1 million more women in outdoor sport, and they've got new facilities, so 500 new sports hall, 150 new swimming pools. They're promoting the 3D pitches, obviously we're playing football on now. They're developing sports centres, that's going to get loads more people in playing sport because they've got more facilities to do it.
But then you've got Thatcher's government and that saying that there's no interest in sport. The only thing that she wanted was the fact that it got hooligans off the street. That's all she wanted.
Yeah, she just didn't want trouble.
So, but I think 1980s Adamath, that was a key turning point.
That was a big step.
Because as well, if you think about people in welfare state, they became, it had an impact, I reckon.
They had to realise that the funds need to go on something that was going to get people
beneficial, yeah. Something that's going to benefit them to reduce riots, but something that's going to benefit other people by doing sport as well.
Yeah.
Right, so last one, 2000s. So starting off as sport in future for all, how do you think this had an impact?
It wanted to change like how sport was run and like get it more modern, I suppose. So that influenced like amount of participation, more people achieving. So if you're doing sport from a young age, you could get up, like become when you get older. So like Abby, she was in pole vaulting since she was young.
Yeah.
But if you look now, like she's going to Australia soon.
Yeah.
To compete. Like
It's moved up.
You do it while you're younger. You can get really good in what you're doing.
And I think that things like Sporting for Future for all the sports councils, they've helped fund
They're
things.
giving me the funding.
Yeah, so and they've built
these
these centres, haven't you?
Right.
So you go to them, like you go in Sheffield, don't you?
Yep, training EIS.
And then that's helping develop and bring people into play sport.
Especially with Jessica Ennis training there as well.
So
That's cool.
Yeah, you got your main name.
You get like athletes doing it. You want to
yeah.
go. You know, if somebody turned around to me and went, "Oh, I'm trying to think of a footballer. David Beckham's going to be at I'd go straight away."
You'd want to see them,
So
motivate yourself from them.
yeah, what other key points do you think we've got in the 2000s?
The way your Pescal and your Pessip that came.
And how do you think they impacted?
I'd say quite a bit because obviously Pescal's your Pessip's for your youth.
Yeah.
And then your school sport and stuff like that. So when I was in school, like that when I was younger, I was 5-year-old, 2003 Pescal, there was a set amount of PE you had to do a week. They got whatever you did in that PE lesson, like I did football, then I wanted to do it because I enjoyed it. Pessip youth kids, they go do it with kids that are younger, then it adds to the amount of participation who wants to do it.
Yeah, that you like at high school they do in like Easter half term and things like that. They have a sports group, so then they come and then they get to do rounders, they get to do rugby, they get to do even running, anything like that. You're giving the kids the taster to want to carry on. They're getting that enthusiasm.
Your football, I think it's like £4, something like that, something cheap. And they do football for a full week. All you have to do is take your dinner.
And if you think about this, it's all been created. It's started
all the way
you're creating your new elite athletes, you're getting more people, and you're creating your sports centres, your facilities. You're helping people. You're helping the youth come to a brighter light. And I think it's a major turning point. Really, I think there's still improvements to be made due to the lack of people in certain target groups. But again, like in 2012, creating a sporting habit for life, that they're wanting you to carry on in sport, not just do it for a certain amount of time.
If you start sport though, you're bringing money in, so it's like
that's getting that money to fund it.
Yeah. It's like a win-win situation. They're paying into the facilities to get you to go to get big. It's like if you go to a gym, bodybuilders, they bring money back into the gym because they wear them the gym promoting stuff. Yeah, so like Valentine's, they have a couple of people that wear the tops when they go to bodybuilding, and then people are like, oh, I want to go there because they think they're going to get, it's that placebo, I want to get results like that if I go to there. So the money's constantly coming in and out. So if welfare state are willing to fund, I don't know, £1 million in, they're going to get double that back in profits from what they get from people coming from promotion.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. But like, Department for Education, what do you think about Department for Education, Bobbi?
Right, well, in 2010, Michael Gove turned his attention towards PE in school sport. So that's good as
bringing people in.
Yeah, it brings people in to do sport, and
But then again, what happened?
School sports partnerships were removed, 162 million lost.
What do you think the impact of that was?
Well, losing money is obviously not very good because you're not
So you think
going to be able
quality
to
of drop of teaching and
Yeah.
Quality
Yeah.
will drop because they've got money to influence
and
it.
people won't be as bothered, so it's kind of contradicting the sporting habit for life.
If you're
because
with
you're not
money, your
gonna,
facilities aren't going to be good. You don't want to go to play football in a net that's half collapsed because they can't afford it. And footballs are ripped to shreds. You don't want to do
You
that.
go to a football pitch, right? We used to train on a football pitch, and it were absolutely one of the best pitches to train on ever because it was seen to all the time. We went and played another pitch that like in an area that didn't think it, and it were all chilled up from where people got on it with it just training. You need that locked type of facility, so you've got that. Removing the money from it, and then also people aren't going to get the coaches for training or anything like that.
And lastly, because we haven't got long left, quickly, Department of Health, what do we think about it?
It gave around 14 million to sports school games, so like my experience of the school games, it was like amazing because I got to compete in Don Valley Stadium, that's where Jessica and Ace used to train. I thought that was good. I got to meet a load of people from around the world, like professional athletes, like, and
so it inspires you really?
yeah, it inspired me to motivate me to do well and carry on doing my sport.
Yeah, what I know about Department of Health is they just funded so much into
they give
different
money
schemes.
to everything to get them to do well. So like they gave 1.1 million to Play England to fund temporary closure of roads and stuff and encourage street games.
Exactly.
That's
So
encouraging participation everywhere.
It's bringing community together, isn't it? It's not just focusing on, we're getting money into welfare. You're bringing community together, so it's going to get rid of all that type of crime on the street and stuff, because people are bonding over it.
Which started from
outlets.
80s. That they said that in 80s they wanted to stop
so really,
them riots.
And again,
so
the fact it's 60s.
it took a while. It's
Exactly.
developed.
and again the
Yeah.
welfare state point, it's changed a lot from the 60s. 60s we were saying that it didn't really have an impact, but then it built and built and built, and overall I think 2000s was a massive turning point. You had so many
there was so much more
agencies and stuff
funding.
giving
Yeah,
in, so
funding.
really I think 2000s were
The key one.
the
Look
key
at it,
one. So
2000, like 2010, 2015. Yeah, you had your Labour from 2007, 2000. It's been Labour from 1997, and then it went into coalition. But as Labour's been in party for the most of it up to 2010, they've then got that. They could advise on what they want in the 1960s. They've got the foot in the door. They have the papers already drew up and the laws put in, and they could just go off there and just adapt and adapt and adapt. It all goes back to where they got in power and set the Advisory Sport Council.
I think that's
I think we've
good
covered
stuff,
everything.
yeah. Alright, thank you. Yeah, thanks.